I have a special guest with me. This is Kate Gladdin. Kate is an author, has a new book out. This is your third book?
Number 3, that's correct.
Number 3, you're busy there. Author, life coach, podcaster, self-help. You've gone to schools, high schools, some of our schools here in our area, to talk to the kids about life resiliency and getting through those tough spots. We're going to talk about that and your secret that we can delve into this book and find out what that is. But glad to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me back. I can't believe it's been over 4 years now since I got to share this with you, so
yes.
Thank you.
It's, we've had a chance to visit before, or way back then. You've had a lot on your life plate since then. You've moved here full-time from, and we need to address this, Australia.
Yes.
Yes.
Proud Aussie.
Love that. And your former boyfriend, who's off camera here with us, Nate. I want to say hi to Nate. You got married.
Yes, we did in my hometown in Sydney, Australia. It was truly special because, moving over in the middle of a pandemic, I don't really recommend it. No. It was quite the challenge, but we held out and were able to share it with family and friends back home, so it was awesome.
And then from the East Coast, where you lived for a little bit, you've moved out here west,
yes.
Which is best. we love having you both here, so good. So let's get into this. How to be resilient when life gets tough. Okay, now what? That's the name of the book. But in the past, you have primarily focused on, and we see the cover right there, you focused on going around talking to teens. Teens have been a focus. Primarily, why at that point? What was the focus on teens for? Why teens?
Well, I think I was just only out of my teen years when my whole purpose behind what I now do kind of rocked my life. So it was right as I was graduating college when my beautiful big sister Nicole, my absolute best friend, looked up to her since the day I was born. Like, couldn't have asked for a better big sister, and woke up one night, 3:37 a.m., got a phone call, and when I saw it was my mom, I'm like, nothing good happens with these phone calls in the middle of the night. And tragically, it was the news that she had passed away in a motorbike accident in Thailand while she was off on a trip there with her boyfriend. And that is what completely shattered my world, but put me on this mission to learn how to handle these moments where the unthinkable happens, something way beyond your control, how to take your power back over how you respond to it. And I think naturally I started working with teens with this, because as I said, I wasn't much older than a teen myself when it happened, but my emotions were a complete roller coaster as a teenager. I had no clue how to manage my reactions or my anxiety and my feelings. And as I began to learn all this stuff, I'm like, I want more teenagers learning this earlier on, because the decisions we make in our teen years can carve out our path ahead. And so I'm really passionate about helping the young adults with those skills, for sure.
That's a very tragic situation in your life. But teens every day face just everyday challenges at the schools, at the hallways, with friends, boyfriend, girlfriends. And today's day and age, in social media, they have a ton of challenges. And then that's where you've drawn your focus. Now, your book, though, broadens that.
Yes.
This, in looking through it and reading chapters, this is for everybody. How to be resilient when life gets tough. You've just related your story. People will see this and say, well, okay, that's great. What makes you such the expert on it? You're a young person.
Yes, that's true. I think, I dove headfirst into learning what it takes, because I was always fascinated. What is the difference? Like, how can you see people go through some horrific things and it really does make them bitter? They turn into that place of victimhood, self-pity, blame. Yet you do see other people transform their hardships into opportunity for growth, for contribution, for purpose. And I wanted to know what the difference was. So I put my head down, through my own personal researches, experiences, and trainings, everything I've learned, I just threw into this book, because you said it's a secret, and I definitely don't want it to stay a secret. I wanted to get into the hearts and minds of as many people around the world as possible.
I think the one thing I read that you just touched on there was you made it your life mission to find the answer to that question. When something bad happens, why do we hit that tipping point where some people choose to become bitter. And then yet others use that as a building block to become better and further their life and become a bigger person than they currently are. So we want to know what that is and what's behind that. So we're going to take a quick break and come back and break down what you call the 3 R's of resiliency. All right? Kate Gladdin, author, life coach, podcaster, everything. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Thanks for being here with us. I'm with Kate Gladdin, new author, well, not new author, but with a new book, and podcaster, life coach, self-help, talk to teens, you tour high schools, but this is for everybody. And if you missed the first part a little bit, tragic event in your life when you were young put you on this path to help others. So you say there are 3 R's, how to be resilient when life gets tough. Okay, now what? Let's talk about number 1. What's the first R to becoming resilient?
Yes, so I wrote these 3 R's because I think it's one thing to say how you respond is a choice, but it often doesn't feel that way. And so I really wanted to make these R's as practical as possible to help people take power back over how they respond to things in a real, just strip back all the fluff and let's get down to the nitty gritty. So the first R is to recognize. And I do want to acknowledge before you take this step, we're human. Let yourself cry, rant, hug your dog, cry with your bestie. Sometimes you've got to let your feelings out. I do believe,
it's a release.
Yes. And so I think I want to be realistic about that, because it wasn't like my sister passed away and then the next day I'm like, okay, first I just need to recognize. It's a process, but it's when you get to that point where you're like, I've got to make that choice. What am I going to do about this bad thing? Stay stuck at the effect of it, let it make me bitter, or use it to become better. And
can it be maybe a lengthy step, drawn out?
Yes.
It's not going to come overnight.
No, and I really try and make that as realistic and relatable as possible in my book. And I do have a chapter on what to do when you're just in a funk, having a tough day, and how to be there with yourself with compassion and empathy and things like that. But that's a side note just to put along with these 3 R's, because I feel like sometimes in the self-help world it's just snap back to happiness, but we're human.
Everybody's different.
Yeah, but the first R, once you're ready to move forward, is to really recognize it's the way that your brain is interpreting the event of what's happened, not directly the event itself, that's actually causing how you're feeling and reacting. So this is very kind of a pragmatic step of where I say you got to recognize the thoughts as thoughts and not facts happening to you. And so it kind of, again, it puts you back in that place of ownership, not feeling like you're stuck at the effect of what's going on. So, rather than, my life's over because my boss is a jerk and, fired me and I'm never going to find another job, it's realizing they're all just thoughts and stories in your mind that is really causing you to feel hopeless. And recognizing your thoughts won't instantly make you feel better, but it does give you that sense of control and power back, because our thoughts are the one thing that are optional and flexible in any situation that we can process through and work through. So I wrote that first R to end the sense of helplessness. Even when you can't control or change a situation, if you can recognize those thoughts, that's that first step to then beginning to change them for the better.
Okay, and the same applies to the event. If it's a major life, huge, big obstacle, or just day-to-day little something. It applies no matter what.
Yes, and lots of different examples of that in the book too.
Okay, recognize. All right, that's our first R. We're going to come back and talk more with Kate Gladdin about what the other 2 R's are to helping us get through those tight spots, especially around the holidays. This really applies.
Yes, I think we're all seeing everyone's happy family photos and experiences, and if you're going through a tough time, it can feel even more isolating. So yeah, definitely needed more than ever a book like this.
Okay, all right, we'll take a quick break. Stay with us. Welcome back once again. I'm with Kate Gladdin, author, self-help coach, podcaster, life coach. You're here coaching our lives. We're talking about the 3 R's, how to be resilient when life gets tough. And everybody can relate, and it seems like things will float to the top and become worse and accentuated around the holidays, and people have some difficult challenges. So we've learned the 3 R's. Number 1 was to recognize. Take us into number 2, step 2.
So the second R I created is to reflect. And essentially it's to reflect on, are these thoughts helpful? And I created this step because, and again, it's because it's a process, changing your mind about something, but the truth is sometimes you might not want to. You're like, well, I don't want to have a good attitude about this. This shouldn't have happened. They shouldn't have said that. Like, you know, I didn't want my sister to die. Why should I try and have a better perspective on this?
So at that point, what if you are still hurting a little bit? Did you jump to that step too soon, or do you need to just kind of back up a little bit?
Yes, well, that's where, first and foremost, I always say reflect with compassion and curiosity. I don't want you judging yourself for having these thoughts, but they're usually quite valid and justified. But I think it is, you know, maybe you do need to step back from it. And as I said, I have the 3 A's to self-compassion, which is to accept, acknowledge and appreciate yourself for getting through the hard time as best as you can, as messy as it may be at times. But reflecting is when you can reflect on how these thoughts drive your actions, because the way that we think and feel drives how we behave and how we react and respond to a certain situation. And if you can see it's just not helpful, if it's got you ruminating, withdrawing away, starting fights with your husband or significant other, and kind of, you know, it's tempting to want to hold on to the blame and negativity to try and punish the world or that person for what they've done. But when you can reflect on, hang on, at the end of the day, staying in this blame and negative mindset is only making my life harder. Like, that was life-changing for me to see, because the driver who killed my sister, even though he was driving on the wrong side of the road when he killed her, he wasn't properly charged by the police in Thailand. And so it felt like I had every reason to just, you know, keep wanting to blame. But hang on, that doesn't, you know, put him in jail or bring my sister home. And in fact, it just jails me in my own negative and bitterness. So that's where it's take time to step back and see how you'll reflect on how your thoughts are kind of impacting you. If it's not helpful, it does become easier to kind of start to accept, okay, what's happened has happened and I can't change that, but what I can change is, of course, my own mindset about that. And that's what I teach in the final R.
And moving forward to that, okay. And again, this step 2 might be a lengthy step 2.
Oh, yeah.
None of these are sudden, fast.
No.
Okay, you mentioned step number 3, the 3rd R. We'll find out what that is. Welcome back as I visit with Kate Gladdin, a podcaster, author, life coach, self-help, talking about how to be resilient when life gets tough. Our mental health seems to strain a little bit around the holidays. People have different situations. At any time of year. This isn't just for teens, this is for everybody. This is for adults. You're talking about those 3 R's on how to become resilient. The first 2 was to recognize and then reflect. Here's the 3rd one. Look at that. Redirect. What is that?
Redirect. Yeah. So that is literally redirecting your mind to look at the same circumstance in a different way, a more empowering, helpful way that's going to help you feel stronger, more resilient, and open you back up to what you can gain and take from the situation. As unwanted as it may be, it's happened. You can't change that. But let's change what comes next.
What you do.
Yes. And how you respond and how you want to grow from it. And
people will say that's going to be tough.
Yes, but tough doesn't mean impossible, and I think that's the distinction we've got to make. And no one really teaches us these mindset skills at school, which is why I also love writing it more for adults and my peers now, because you know, no one taught me how to be more mentally flexible, how to change the automatic thoughts that come up into more purpose-driven ones. And so that's what I teach throughout the book. Simple, like a little mind hack I love to teach is, you know, every time you're spiraling into negative thoughts, is to simply ask your brain a deliberate question, an empowering question. So, you know, how can I turn this setback into a comeback? Or what's one thing I can learn from this? Or what's someone who inspires me? What would they tell me about this situation? A question puts your brain off autopilot into purposeful mode, so we can literally tell our brain what we want it to focus on using questions. Often at first we might want to say, I don't know, but I say just take a guess. Just brainstorm a couple of ideas to reveal to yourself, hang on, there's 1,000 different other perspectives I could focus on in this situation than just the negative one that I'm stuck on right now.
The big question then that we posed at the top of this discussion, when life tragedy in your family, when your sister was her passing in that accident, you said, what is that makes some people turn bitter and others use a tragedy or whatever the circumstances are to become more positive? And I gather through all the steps we've just talked about, it seems to be personal choice. What do you do with it?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe, like, as I teach everyone, my response is my choice. And I think those who do become better, they use the power of their perspective to either find the silver lining or use their two hands to create it themselves. Like, there wasn't a good thing in my sister's death, but my family decided to take her legacy and the lesson of travel safety to share that with other people, and we created her charity and everything. So it really does come down to your power to choose your response, and I just want to help people do that through the book. That's what you're doing.
Where do people get the book?
It's available wherever you get your books these days. So on my website, kategladdin.com does have all the different retailers and outlets that you can find at Barnes & Noble, Amazon, all that jazz.
Okay. So. Excellent. I think we're wrapping things up here. Perfect for the holidays, a gift idea, and you're off to your next tour to help some teens.
Yes,
where are you headed?
Off to Minnesota in January, so looking forward to that. And I have a question for you, Todd.
Okay.
Do you remember what an esky is?
An esky?
It's Aussie slang.
It is. Oh no, I know we talked about some foods.
Some foods?
Yeah, didn't we before?
Oh, Vegemite?
Yeah, that was one.
Yeah, Tim Tams are pretty good.
Yes.
They have them at Albertsons here in Idaho.
I can't remember what esky is.
It's a cooler bag. I just thought, I remember teaching you that.
That's it. Yes. Hey, that's when we visited before.
Oh, look at us.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So young.
I know.
And vibrant.
Yeah. Terrific. It's been great having you back.
Thank you so much, Todd.
Happy holidays to you and
likewise.
Your husband Nate there. Retired military, great guy.
Absolute best.
Love his service, so thank you both, and we'll let you travel back home. So, all right. Thanks for watching. We hope you have a good night.